Hey everyone, welcome officially to today's training. I'm so glad that you guys are all able to come and for your participation. Today we'll be discussing data validation and how it consists with validating what you are already getting inside the builder, as well as in the web console. So we're going to be focusing on web console validation, the builder, and cleaning the data that you get once you've exported it. So by the end of our training today, the purpose is to understand the best practices to harvest and validate those data and implement it across all your agents. The techniques we're discussing can be applied, and I encourage you to apply them to all of your agents. When we can validate our data, then it will help us save time. Not only manual hours from going through and looking at the website and comparing it to our data, but also when we are creating our final exports of documentation for either our customers, our team members, or maybe potentially board meetings, or maybe you're taking that data and putting it into another website. So as we talk about data validation, one of our main focuses is going to be on the web console. In our agent settings in our web console, we're going to be focusing on the harvesting handling so that we don't miss any error that happens. So that when our website, if it hits an error or something is updated, that we're notified immediately, as well as if it's not able to find an element, we can be informed about that. We have the capability of tracking changes, which means that we can compare a data set to our next data set that we pull when we're running our agent. This is so helpful, especially as you're doing comparative analysis. And from there, we will discuss some custom views so that you can format the data the best for the audience that you'll be showing it to. To access your agent settings, this is located directly on your agent, and it's going to be on the tool gear in the top left-hand corner. So here in the web console, I've selected my agent, and then I have this tool gear in the top left-hand corner. When I select the tool gear and click on harvesting, then I'm able to go to error handling. We want this to be set to stop and stop. When that is set to stop and stop, it will notify us that the agent wasn't able to find the information it needed, or that a website error has occurred. This could be an update, it could be a reformatting, but that will help you know what's going on without having to just get a bunch of data that may not be relevant. It helps you kind of do a quality control there. Next is our behavior. This comes into play when we want to track changes and see any differences between our previous run and our current run. Again, this is in our harvesting settings. By default, this is not selected, and that is because we want to make sure that your storage in your account is saved. So when I click on behavior and click on store item history, now it's going to save each collection of data that I've harvested. They're going to compare the last run to the most recent completed run. Something to be mindful about this, and one of the reasons it's not selected by default, is that you will need to go and delete your collections manually to help save on storage. If you want to see the storage that you have available, click on the person in the top right-hand corner, account settings, And then down here at the bottom, you can see the storage that you have used total. And that's down there at the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Once we have store item history on, we can track the changes by identifying a unique field. If we don't identify a unique field to track, then every item will turn out as a new item because it's not looking for anything specific that has changed. A lot of times we want to choose something that won't change or that like a URL. So if I'm comparing different products, it would be nice to use a URL as a unique field. It's not limited to just one unique field. You can do as many as you'd like. But make sure that you have both the store item history and the unique field marked. In custom views, this allows you to reformat the data that you've harvested. When you are harvesting data, get all the information you might need. And then once you gather that information, filter it down to what you do need. These custom views allows you to create possibly an export view, a customer view, or even a reporting view relevant to your audience. These views can be applied not only to the data that you get from your agent, but it can be applied to your agents and your collections. For example, in my dashboard, I have in all of my agents, I have a custom view called horoscope. This filters out all of the other agents that don't have the name horoscope listed inside of it. So it changes the view from all agents to just a few agents. This is really helpful if you have a specific project that you're working on that consists of multiple agents. Then you can create a custom view that you and your team can filter through. With the data, it changes our data listing from this to something more simplistic. In this view, I am only viewing cameras that are Nikons. I can filter this not just based off of the names that they have, but I can also filter based off of the price, star rating, total review, which will apply later today. We're switching gears now to the agent builder and how to validate data inside the agent builder. The first thing to do is to build an agent that we trust. We want to make sure that we don't have any element not found errors and we don't have any optionals. Optionals are the yellow icon that's next to our capture action. We want to add some parameters when we do hit an error that allow us to get the information and verify that an error was hit that we knew about and not an unknown error. As we do this, we'll be able to validate the information we have while still being able to get the data as efficiently as possible. So we're going to practice this. First, let's start with our Best Buy agent. I want to do a comparative analysis of my current results versus my next results on the next run. To track the history, I'll go to Settings, Harvesting, and in Behavior, click on Store Item History. When I save this, my dashboard is going to update. I now have the ability to click to hide added items. I can see unchanged items. I can also show removed items. This is comparing my last results to my current results. From my dropdown, I also have the capability to view the history. Right now I don't have any history that has been ran because we just turned it on. But you would be able to see each history and that would be a bookmark of data. Going back to my data portion, I can see that instead of just having most recent completed run, I have this item that says all items ever found. And I'm filtering this based off of the word Nikon. To change it to all results, I'm going to switch to defaults. And have that refresh. So while that's refreshing, I'll just switch between scenes. Something to take note, we're going to be discussing how to add those views. So all of our data has been refreshed. And if there's different qualifiers as far as filtering. To add the view, click on the tool gear in the far right-hand side of the screen. Select Create a New View. And I'm going to create this as Canon cameras. And I'm going to say I added this field called clean, meaning that every line of data that is complete needs to have the word clean on it. But what I can do, this is the fields that I want visible. For this specific example, I want total reviews, star rating, product URL, and product name. These ones listed below with systems, those are ones created by Mozenda. I'm going to choose item ID because that relates back to this item ID on the far left-hand side of the screen. And click Save. Now I have this filter that's only showing these columns. I didn't add any extra criteria. So I'm organizing the cameras that I've gathered based off of their product URL, product name, star rating, total review. I can move these columns into whatever format I'd prefer, as well as width. These aren't all of my results. I can press next and see that there are more items here. Now let's go in to add some criteria. Instead of just viewing all of my cameras, I want it to be specific to the Canon camera. So I'm going to click Manage Views, select Canon camera, and edit this view. We have our field names. Now we're going to go to criteria. I'm going to say that I want this field that says clean, which is not currently in view. I want it to contain the word clean, and that's what should be visible. I also want to make sure that the product name contains the word Canon. If I wanted to add some more filters related to maybe total reviews, right now it's using all of my total reviews as a number, and it's giving me filters that are based off of a qualitative amount. Does not contain when I may want greater than or equal to. So we're going to click cancel on the reviews and just click save and watch our data change, and then we'll customize our fields to allow us to do number filters as well as just text filters. So as it's reorganizing that, it will take a few seconds for it to come and display all that information. We'll just give it a quick second. And while that's loading, I'm going to go underneath data and click fields. Fields are the headers that are on all of our data. Right now, all of them, almost all of them, are text. I have these two images that are files, but I want to change this total review to not be a text. I want it to be a number. So I just double clicked on it and selected number and click save. You can choose to add a description or even mark it as confidential, so only specific users will have access to that information. I'm going to click save and go back to my data. And while that's still thinking, I'm going to even edit it one more layer. Actually, let's just create a new view. And this one is going to be total reviews. And I'm going to say I want the description, features, price, product name, star rating, total review, and item ID. The criteria I want is that I want to have total reviews that are greater than or equal to 500. Applied that to all of them. And we'll let that update. The view is not loving it today, so to help it move along with it, I'm going to start running our agent so that we can also see the history of it all and compare those data sets to each other. And while that's running, we're going to go back to our agent group of horoscopes, and we're going to create a custom view on our agent groups. So I'm going to go from summary to data, and I'm going to change my view to default. It's letting me know in this red that I don't have those two fields on this astrology agent. So that lets me know that this does not follow my template to exactness. From here, I'm going to add a custom view. Settings, create a new view, and I'm going to do this as the money sign. I mentioned before that I wanted to know if my sign was in alignment with the month or the year. So I'm going to set the criteria to look at the monthly and make sure that it contains, let's even do today because I want to know what's happening in the present. So let's cancel this and choose today. And I want to make sure that contains something to do with money. If it has the word money, I want to know about it. Then I also want to see if I can do my monthly one, and if that contains family. This is a criteria saying make sure that it contains money and the month contains family. I can change this to be either or, so I could say or contain family. Now when I save this, it's going to show that Capricorn and Aquarius fall into those parameters. This is great when you're looking for keywords, maybe in job listings or in descriptions of different products, to make sure that the phrasing is on point. This is applied to our agent that's called astrology. I can click on horoscope and apply this same filter. That's one of the benefits of using an agent group, is you are able to create a view and apply that same view to all of your agents. Here, it's only Aries and Libra that fall within those parameters. I had an attendee at our webinars email in and say that they have now started looking at their horoscope every single day after watching this, which made me smile. And if I go to LA horoscope, then it's able to give me the same information and apply that across the board. I want to view just the default information. Right now, it looks pretty good. Let's look at each one of these. This horoscope is fairly ugly. As far as how the data is presented, there's a lot of cleaning up that could be done. For today, I don't necessarily need this date right here. I could have it in a separate location. And let's check our astrology one to see if that needs any cleaning up. And it looks like that one's good. So I really want to work on this horoscope to clean up what it looks like. So let's go to there and open it up and use some of our agent building validation to make sure that what we're getting is correct. I'm going to go check on our Best Buy. It looks like it's still running in our harvesting results. They're even applying the filter as the harvesting results are coming in. And I hit an error. That's good. Errors are opportunities. So I'm going to go to our horoscope, and we are going to design and open up Mozenda. Okay, so on this first page, I'm going to look at the capture text preview to make sure that the data looks the way I'd like it to. And I can see that it just has the sign name and it has the URL. That looks good to me. I'm going to update our template to make sure that we're using all the right field names. And it looks like I have 2 extra ones, but I need to get today's date and the month of listed. So when I click on today, I'm able to see that the text here for today includes today's date, and then it goes on to the summary here. So there's a couple of things I can do. One, I can right click to inspect and see if it's separated out from the paragraph. And it is. So I could potentially just select this date, capture text, and have this be today's date. And then in my capture text preview, I have today's date and I have the paragraph describing that horoscope for the day. I want to get rid of this July 18th on my summary of the horoscope. So we're going to change the view of that information. Whenever you're changing the view of how the data is presented, that's going to come back to Refine Capture Text. Refine Capture Text you can access by right-clicking and selecting Refine Capture Text. I'm going to make sure I select today instead of just today's date. So I right-clicked Refine Capture Text. This gives me a preview of the Capture Text preview. Right now I'm defining what I want to capture, and below it shows me the preview. So in front of the first percentage signs, I'm going to write a landmark to help distinguish that I don't want the date. This date could change. So if I type in July 18th, 2019, tomorrow it'll be 2019. It'll be, sorry, the 19th of 2019. And next month it won't say July. So we want to use a landmark that would be relative to each month moving forward because we're keeping the end in mind. And that would be this dash in between the date and the text. So I'm adding a dash there and a space. And below you can see that that date has now been removed. So when I save it, I now have today with the paragraph and the date listed separately. When I go to weekly, we have weekly as well as we don't have the weekly time frame. So that was an information that I felt like was relevant. So something that we can do is, if we want to capture it, I can click right here on weekly, capture text again. We're going to say it's a new field and it's the weekly date. And I really want to filter out this weekly date from here. So let's use the technique that we just talked about. I'm going to right click on weekly, click on refine capture text. We used a dash before and there's one right there. So I'm going to click home dash space. And that one worked pretty well because it noticed that there was an extra space there. Something that I'm worried about is if we just had a dash, then it would still include that second date. And I want to make sure that's eliminated completely. So we could end here with another space, save it, and let's test it to see how it does. But I'm also going to show you another technique where you can use another field to validate what information you want. This is really helpful with SKU numbers, where you can say only look for this text if it matches what I just inputted. And it looks like today's date looks good, the URL looks good. Everything is separated out pretty nicely. The monthly is a little dicey, so we still need to split that up. So I'm going to click on monthly, and I'm going to use another technique to create two fields from one capture. I'm going to right click and click refine capture text. And here with monthly, I am going to change this to month of, and I'm going to say month of, because it's in those percentage signs, it's saying this is a new field, and I'm going to add a dash at the end of it. And that saved my refine capture text as July 2019. I'm going to add another one and just have that one be called monthly. And before monthly, I'm going to add a dash. I'm noting that I want anything that's after that dash to the very end. And I'm going to click save. So now my capture text preview shows monthly, the text available, and then the month of listed as well. For our weekly and our weekly date, we're going to use a different technique. So we're going to use the XPath. So here in our weekly, we have the XPath /div/p1. I'm going to copy that, go to DevTools, click anywhere in the DevTools, Control F, and paste that. And I found the paragraph. And what I want to see is I was able to select the date as a separate item. So I want to see if I could select all of these paragraphs as a separate item. So I'm going to inspect right there. And this p tag is a paragraph that encompasses all of the text that's describing the horoscope. The date is just this element strong. And strong looks like that's the name of the tag. So what we're going to do is specify the weekly date by taking this p tag and adding /strong so that only strong is highlighted. The inner text in strong is going to be this date, July 15th through July 21st. I'm going to copy that. And in my weekly date, click on XPath, delete all of this, and paste it. Let's check our capture text preview to make sure it's the same format. And that looks good. And in weekly, I'm going to remove my refined capture text. And I'm going to go back down to this XPath. Copy the XPath, go to DevTools, and I'm going to say, look for p tag, and add on to that, and make sure it does not contain the inner text, meaning that date from July 15th to July 21st. So the inner text that we got, and then I'm doing 2 quotes, and then I'm using our percentage signs, which signifies that I want it to look at a field that we've already collected. And I'm going to write weekly date, exactly as it's spelled up here. And then do a closing bracket. We're going to copy this, go to XPath, and paste that in replace. And we're going to test it to have the same result. Again, this is really helpful if you're entering in a SKU number. You can say, look for the inner text of SKU number that I'm searching for. And if that SKU doesn't match the SKU that's on the website, then let me know so that you can verify the data that you're getting. So let's test it. It's not working exactly, so let me check my spelling on that one. And not contain the inner text of weekly date. Perfect. So we're going to go in and just add the extra refinement too, so that when this dash doesn't work, that we're able to have that XPath as another safeguard there. So I'm going to save that, and then we'll test it one more time. It will work because we knew that our capture definition were incorrectly. But as you write your XPaths for monitoring, like matching SKU numbers from your fields, then we'll be able to use that as you'll be able to use those as well in a way to just make sure that everything's matching and validating. Because of time, I want to make sure that we have enough time to go through some of the most effective error handling when it comes to building an agent. So we're going to remove that one, and we're going to work on this agent that's relative to finding a lawyer here in Utah. So here, my agent, I want it to select all of these issues, and so that I can find something specific to my need. When I click into each one of these, I want to make sure I get the top cities, nearby counties, areas of practice, as well as this law firm information. And I've noticed on several of these law firms, they have a list of items, but they also have an ad. So we're going to put in some troubleshooting to help us know when we're getting the list of lawyers versus if we're getting a bunch of ads. For example, so let's get building. So we're going to go start a new agent. And we're going to use our URL from here, Salt Lake County, copy that. And we're going to start a new agent from this page. I want to make sure that I also have the titles here. So my list, I'm going to click on accident and injuries, capture a list, and select other topics. I'm going to name this categories. And then we're going to select each one of these items. When I first did capture text, it only captured that one item. So that told me that it in itself would need to be a list because these, our first list isn't going to find those pieces of information. So I'm going to capture list and select all of this information. And we're going to do specialties. And because I want this list to be associated with this list, I want them to be embedded. Because if I test my agent right now, it's listing them in different columns. I want them to be in the same column. So I'm going to drag my item list and put it in our first list. So then when I test it, it's all going to be associated with its category. Next, we're going to capture the URL. And I'm going to refine that text so that I am only capturing the URL by typing href equals quotes end quotes. We're going to load a new page and load that URL. On this page, we're going to select subject. I want these top cities. I want the nearby counties. And I want the related practices and areas. There's this information. I want this to be a list, but there's not two items on there. So the best way to get there is to click on one of these other examples. I'm going to copy it and enter that URL here and just load the new URL onto the current page. Here, I'm going to create a list. I'm going to capture the practice name. I want to see if it has a free consultation. And you'll notice I already got this error. It says this wasn't found. So I can say, we're going to first try like how we normally would, which is add optionals. Optionals aren't great because what if it's just changed positions? We want to know that. And then I'm going to add additionally the location that they're at. So we're going to use this county as their location. And we're going to go in and test. Okay, so we hit an error, and this is what I wanted to have happen. When you have these pop-ups, just hold Q, click X. I have these two that don't follow the same format. They're actually ads. So it didn't find it when it was looking for the information. So I could set this as optional and continue on its merry way, but I really want to know when I do hit an ad. So I'm going to change this from optional, right click and go to properties. When I get to properties, I can select error handling. And when an error occurs, I want it to go to a new page. And I'm going to add a custom value. And I want this to be named practice name, because if I have them have the same field name, then this value will show up in that same column, letting me know that this was an ad. If I want to be more specific, I can, instead of having it be a set value that will appear, I can capture this text and have this one be practice name, so that it knows that this one is going, when it can't find the name list, it will go to page 3 and capture this word that says it's an ad, and then it will go back to running the list. So let's test that. So now here on this line, it has the word ad instead of having my practice name. Now, this URL didn't load, so we can't see the error that it hit. So I'm going to copy this URL and load it into my browser. When I load this into my browser, it's not finding this top cities here in Murray, so I'm going to load it one more time into my agent to see if that can refresh it. Because here, when I paste that and enter, it's showing that it does have top cities here. And it does have nearby counties. So if I set that as optional, I would be missing out on this information. I want to make sure that it is there. So we're going to click our top cities, copy this, and load it one more time. And it was able to find that. At least it's saying that it was. What I'm thinking we can do to prevent that from happening is saying, after loading this page, wait for Ajax, but begin processing, like begin doing actions as soon as you find them. And we're going to test this again. So that's one functionality of using error handling, is to, when we do hit an error, to redirect it to go to a new page and capture different text. Just like that ad. Additionally, we can do the same thing with consultation. If it doesn't have free consultation, we can add not available for this practice. So I'm going to let this run for one more minute. So see how it says, sorry, we did not find any, we didn't find any doctors in your area. So it did, at least. When it has that error of, here it is, see how it says, sorry, we did not find any motor vehicles defect lawyers in Salt Lake County. So I want to change, if they don't find this, I want to go to properties, error handling, have it go to a new page, save that, and I want it to capture this text, and I want that to be in top cities. So then while I'm doing, if I add any filters, while I'm in my web console, then I can filter out anything that says that doesn't have top cities in it. Top cities is pretty busy, it says top cities and then list the top cities. So we can change the view by adding a refine capture text. Oh, we have to choose a page that it's relevant on. So we'll do that here in just a minute. We're going to start this over. So it's able to get all that information. It found an ad on line 12. Let's see what happens when we get to the one that doesn't have any information on there. The views that you have available in the web console is great for deduping as well. We can use it to set, for example, here on practice name, there's a lot of duplicates, but they all practice different things. So I can add a custom view inside my console to say, remove all these duplicates. So we found that one item and it's continuing on its way. So the errors that we normally would just ignore, we're able to get data from and list, sorry, we didn't get your information. And here on consultation, I'm going to right click and execute. I want to make this if consultation, if there is an error, so go to properties, error handling. I want it to go to a new page. And I want it to capture, I just want it to tell me that it didn't have an ad. So I'm going to capture a custom value that says consultation, and the value is not available. So now when I test my agent, when it comes to consultation, I won't only just have free consultation, but I'll have the words not available. That way I can stay informed and involved about what's going on without having to manually go through all of that. We're going to just do a quick refinement on these where we remove the words nearby counties and save that. And we're going to remove top cities. And do the same here with related practice areas. So when I save those, I will have cleaner data. So we're going to save this. We saved our most updated expressions. We're going to call this Utah law, and we can dedupe it. It's going to have me, it's saying that I'm using the field specialty more than once. So I'm just going to delete specialty. And then I'm going to recapture it. And save that. And then I'm going to save my agent. And that will allow me to save it again. Okay, so in my web console, when I go to my Utah law, I can filter out any duplicates. I'm going to change the view to all agents so that we can have a really beautiful data set. So we're going to run this so that we can view the data results later on. One of the ways that we can play with data, I feel like we can get stuck in the mundane of building agents and then trying to get the data and meeting deadlines. There are a lot of ways that we can use this data for fun. So this is a project that was made by one of our team members who loves the NBA, and they wanted to know the recovery time for each one of their players. In this example, we can choose a team, like the average recovery time for a general injury is about 20.79 days. but I could choose Blake Griffin, and his usual recovery time is 15 days. But when it comes to a knee, it's going to be 29 days. We can even get as specific if I want to say, just look at, we're going to clear all filters. I can look at a specific team and then go down to say, okay, let's look at the Thunder. Oh, may they rest in peace. I'm so sorry for them. They're losing everybody. And then I can even specify if it's an elbow injury, it's going to take 11 days. But if it was, say, their foot, and it wasn't just sore, but they had a fracture, then it would take 32 days for it. So as you're going through your data, think of fun ways that you can implement it as well. You can Mozenda basically anything in your life. If you want to take your fantasy football team to the next level, create a scrape that helps you understand like how often they're going to be, like what's their average recovery time? Do they have the number of days that they're going to be able to play, so that you can optimize your life using Mozenda. This one it's exported, and they've created a beautiful pivot chart with it. And so the sky's the limit as far as it comes to data. I really appreciate your time, and please message in if you have any questions. We'll have time tomorrow as well to add on to that. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you so much.